my name is Moriarty. I'm an LOC2 counselor and I do intake at the East 2nd Clinic. Before that, I was on their LOC3 rehabilitation specialist team. I've worked for the agency for a little bit over 4 years, and I want to share some of the reasons that I joined United Workers of Integral Care and why I think it's so important that this union exists. When I first started at Integral Care, about a month into my employment, I was asked to join a special team outside of my normal work responsibilities. The reason I was the one asked to do this, the most new person on the team, was because everybody else was so burnt out that my supervisor said, if I ask them, I think they'll quit. Within 6 months, I was the most senior person on my team of 9, and we kept trying to hire new people, and they would often quit during their training period or shortly after. The more people quit, the more our caseloads grew. On this other team I was on, I began to experience safety concerns along with the other people I was working with. We actually did get a meeting with people, with upper management, members of executive management were there. And when we expressed our safety concerns, they told me that they would write me a letter of recommendation to go work somewhere where I would feel more safe. How would you feel if you were a new employee, a new clinician just starting your work, feeling scared, talking to your agency and asking for help, and essentially being told to quit your job? There have been many times that I've worked through lunch, worked after hours just to keep up with all the documentation. At one point, I went to my doctor just for a routine checkup. I found out that I was sick and had been for months. And I didn't know because I just expected that chronic fatigue was a normal way to feel. So that is why I think it's really important for employees to stand together, for our needs to be heard and met. In the compensation study meeting, we were told that Integral Care would be given a period of 3 years to roll out changes. We're in a crisis. We can't even keep people for 6 months. What do you think that 3 years is going to do to fix this problem? If we as employees don't feel ownership over the changes being made in our workplace, over what we're being asked to do, over our compensation, our benefits, and our safety, no changes you make are going to work. If we don't feel like we own this and that we have a voice and a seat at the table, nothing you do is going to fix this crisis. You need to include us. Last time we were here, you said that you were sorry if your first email felt like a no, and that it was a yes, and that you wanted to work with us and you wanted to meet with us, just to turn around and email us saying that you had no interest in meeting with us and that you wouldn't. There is no legal precedent that says you cannot sit down and meet with us. So we're asking again to meet with us, to sit down, bring us to the table, and talk to us about our concerns, because I'm not surprised we're in crisis. I'm not surprised everybody's leaving. COVID has made it worse, but this has been a problem for a long time. 4 years ago I came in and this was a problem, and nothing that you do without us is going to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those personal stories. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
My name is Alice Navarro. I am a rehabilitation specialist in the South Austin Stonegate Clinic. I've been with the agency for about 8 months now, and so kind of wanted to share some words that one of my coworkers has included in the compensation study, and so I wanted to read what she had written to everyone tonight. She wrote, "Our job requires a high level of judgment and assessment skill. It also places our safety in considerable risk, and we are vastly undercompensated for the level of risk we expose ourselves in this job. I have a master's degree in social work, and my compensation is minimal at best given my experience and training in this field. I can make a similar income working at a fast food restaurant in this area. I love the work I do. However, I would like to be compensated for my skill set. That is my biggest complaint regarding this job and organization. You cannot have a CEO making over $300,000 a year while paying your frontline workers who are putting themselves in consistent high stress and potentially dangerous situations the wage that they can make at a fast food restaurant. I am hopeful this study will produce results of increased compensation so that Integral Care can continue to provide much needed services to a very complex and difficult client population. And I would like to add that one way that we can do this is by working together with the union. We are here to meet with you and to talk about the concerns that we have. I do enjoy the work that I do, and I too also have not one, but almost 2 master's degrees in this field. Yet, the other day when I shared with a city council member that my annual salary is under $41,000 a year, the look of shock and horror on her face was very eye-opening to me. It made me realize that I am worth way more than $41,000 a year with the work I do for this agency. Thank you.
Any other comments? Andy, please.
I'm Brian Johnson. I work on the M3 team in enteral care. I'm a co-occurring psychiatric substance use disorder specialist. I didn't really have anything specific to say, but I did want to offer my support to the union and just say a little bit why I do support them. I think I was probably one of the last ones here maybe to be part of the union. They approached me after I spoke out at a forum or a meeting with enteral care and just said, hey, maybe you want to be part of this. And I said no at first because I was thinking, I've been with the agency about 5 years, that I'll kind of pick my fights and I'll take this on, kind of on my terms. But then after I met with them, like, you guys think and are experiencing the same kind of concerns I have. And I'm not winning when I'm having these conversations. I'm mostly ignored, met with kind of disdain and resentment when I kind of bring attention to management that this is a concern I have, around safety, stuff like that. And so I absolutely want to join with them and support them in any way I can. And I think I'm on my way out right now, I can't imagine being here another year. And so I don't really have any skin in this game besides, I want the right things to happen. This is obviously a field I care about, and this is a community I care about. And so if I can do anything before I'm out to communicate the concerns I've had and some ideas that I have, I would like to do that. That's really kind of what I want to touch base on, but I mean, even tonight, the things that were discussed. House has been really, really not a good experience for us. We've housed or worked with people who get housing, I think about 7 people there. They're all either dead or evicted. We've had property basically say they don't want to work with our people. It was on their, their responsibility. They were getting evicted even though we felt like there was potential to collaborate with them. And so I'm really concerned when it seems like we're having a different property management, but we're kind of doing the same thing with the new property management. And I don't hear anything around the feedback from the service providers with what it's been like to work with the previous property management. There's been a lot of client feedback around the previous property management, accusations of kind of racist types of behaviors from property management. And so I'm not hearing that stuff when these processes are taking place. And that's why I feel like having the service providers, the clients participate in and take ownership over these changes is so integral in these processes, and so I would like to see that happen. And the last thing I would say is I'm concerned about the expansions. I mean, how many openings do we have right now in the agency? And we're just talking about expanding. So what? So they sit on the website just with an open position? Very last thing I'll say is we have had experience with clients falling into the abyss, Mr. Hayes, and when you brought that up, it did resonate with me. One very common thing, I'm sorry if I'm running out of time, is we get people in the housing right now. They get a voucher. Voucher's actually been pretty easy to come by for us lately. We can't find a place for them to go. Yes. And so in a year, they get either evicted or a mutual rescission, and that's a really, really difficult spot.
That's time.
Is that time? Okay.
I think you should let him finish. You all don't really ever hear from anyone, so I think he should finish.
10 seconds, I'll wrap up. And so there's an abyss that happens because then after they're evicted, it's way harder than when they're living on the streets. They give up everything. They have to get out of their apartments in 30 to 60 days. You can't house people in this county in 30 to 60 days. And so that's setting us up for failure, and I do think that is an abyss. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
wanna talk to you guys. So I know they'll listen. First I wanna ask that you meet with us, again, like everybody else has said. My name's Raven, sorry, massive introductions. My name's Raven, I work out at Community First Village, I am also a rehab specialist. I've been with Integral Care for about a year. To be honest, entering my career in social work, I avoided Integral Care like the plague because I knew of its reputation in the community and how poor services are within Integral Care. I ended up here because I was desperate to get out of my last nonprofit, and I knew that you guys had tons of positions open. I'm here today to advocate for myself, my coworkers, and my community. You know, piggybacking off of what Brian said, you're talking about a whole bunch of new projects, expansions, which is so frustratingly ironic because you don't have positions filled currently. You can't find anyone to fill these positions. And that wants me, like, you know, that reminds me that, like, Integral Care doesn't exist without us. And I don't think you guys realize that. We're the ones that do the work. I mean, it blows my mind. Your compensation study and your current efforts to, you know, address the crises is absurd. Today I was told by my program manager that over 600 employees had not completed the compensation study, and so now they're begging us to, you know, complete it so that, like, you know, in hopes that something will happen in 3 years down the road. But, you know, like, what does that tell you? That tells me that we have no faith in your efforts. And the money that you've wasted hiring this third-party company to evaluate what we do and determine our worth. That's ridiculous. It's degrading. Yeah, so, again, my name is Raven. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Does anybody else wanna go?
I'll go for like 7 seconds. My name's Molly. I also work at Community First Village. There's not any more I can say that they haven't already said. It's just ridiculous that you won't sit down with us. This absurd thing that you can't, like, we're not stupid. Like, we're smart individuals that want to help, and like I said last board meeting, like, we are the people you want to talk to. We're the ones that have stayed and the ones that are on the verge of leaving, but we're here pleading with you to just talk with us. Not even asking for anything, literally just talk with us. And you still won't do that. And it's so heartbreaking because we're supposed to be in this together and you guys don't have our backs. So please meet with us. That's our ask. So.
Someone else?
Thank you. Sonia, before you please come, I just want to say how hard it is to not be able to respond to you guys. We have limits because of our agenda requirements this evening on what we can discuss in an open meeting. We're only able to talk about those things that are on the agenda ahead of time. So I wish I could say what I want to say, and the short version of what I think I can say without her yelling at me, that's our general counsel over there, is that I get that actions speak louder than words. And the only way we're going to show you that we hear you is by acting, doing something about it. And this board and the management committee and the management team is going to be doing something about it. And we're working down that road. I know it's not going as fast as everybody wants it to, but you'll be hearing more from us on that process. Sonia, thank you for being here again.
So since you're saying that it would have to be an agenda item, could you commit to them that you'll put it on the agenda so that at least they can have a conversation that way?
It is on the agenda for next
It will be on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So I've been coming for a long time, and I also am completely appalled, and just so you all know, I did see the email that went out prior to the last board meeting when people wanted to come, and what you failed to say, David, was that this is, by the Open Meetings Act, a public meeting. So what you should have said is, you can come to this physical location, and there are 2 comment periods at the beginning and at the end. But that wasn't in the email. But you also said that it would be recorded, and you would send out the link. Then you followed up with, there was a technical glitch, and there was no recording. So these are things you all need to hear. I have also been horrified about the expansion. 1.2 million was just given from county commissioners for ACT. I recently spoke with another housing provider, I will not say who it is, who took on highest utilizers. You can guess who it is, I know you probably know, David. They didn't contract with Integral Care because they wanted to contract with your ACT teams, but you drop people all the time for refusal to engage. People who need a commitment to services. So you don't hear from the people providing the services, you don't hear from the people who are receiving the services, and you don't hear from people who are advocating for services. So it is really disgusting how much money goes to this organization and what we see happening in the streets with people who can't afford to pay their own rents. Of course they would be leaving, and these people are committed. I mean, I'm beyond disappointed. I spend all my time trying to break this down because it's not working, and it is a great disservice. So when you all drive through the streets of Austin, Texas, know that Integral Care has actually caused a lot of harm. There are good things, but when you're talking about Taos, yes, how are we advocating for the people who are evicted, people who have died? Do we just drop you from the highest level of care and leave you to the streets? Yes, we do. I had a meeting with Ruth Ahern, and she said, we're not renewing everyone's leases. What's gonna happen? One person was going to be returned to homelessness. That is unacceptable. So if this organization is not willing to advocate and allow the people providing services to advocate for what is needed, then this is a huge problem. And then we are all complicit. So I just want you all to remember that. And I was really disappointed, David, to see that you didn't state the times where they could come and be heard, and there was no recording.